Welcome to another episode of Kim's Collectibles. Today, I brought in my guitar autographed by Boston, including the late Brad Delp. I'm going to tell you more about his suicide here in just a minute, but first, these are all the guys that were on Boston's debut album that came out in '76. 25 million copies that sold. But it wasn't recorded in a studio. When CBS got the demo from Tom Scholz, which by the way a bunch of other record companies had turned down, and at that time the name of the band was Mother's Milk, so I can kind of understand it. They listened to it and said, you know, this is really great, but we want you to go into a studio in LA and finish recording this, because Tom Scholz worked for Polaroid at the time, made a buttload of money because he had a degree from MIT. He had built a studio in his basement. Now in those days, that was very, very expensive. Now you could probably do it with a laptop, but in those days, he had to actually move the equipment into his basement. This is what it looked like. And these are the guys that did the first Boston album. Nice afro there on Sib Hashian. He was the drummer. Also a nice big hairdo on Brad Delp. The album that CBS released, they thought they had redone in the studio. They thought the band had gone back into the studio and redone it. Most of the tracks were not redone, which you still hear on the radio, More Than a Feeling. As a matter of fact, every song on the album radio plays, all of those were done in Tom Scholz's basement. So that's pretty impressive for that equipment at the time, and pretty impressive sales. It was one of the biggest selling debuts of all time. So back to our autographed guitar here, and Mr. Brad Delp, who of course is no longer with us, which is just a tragedy. He decided to kill himself, what was that, about 7 years ago? And the way he did it was so weird. Instead of just shooting himself or taking pills, he went down to the Kmart, or the Walmart, or the True Value, and bought 2 hibachis, because he lived in a mansion, so you know he didn't have it. You know he had a nice built-in gas grill. Bought 2 hibachis, brought them home, put them in the bathroom, shut the door, and lit them, and asphyxiated himself. He also ran a hose to his car in the garage and had a note on the car saying, "This is option number 2. He also had a note at the bottom of the staircase telling his fiancée, who he was supposed to marry in the very near future, not to go upstairs, because he was dead in the bathroom, but his cat was in another room and safe and sound. Very, very weird. He also pinned a note to his chest saying, "Here lies a lonely man," and that was done in French. Who knows? We miss him. What a great voice in rock music. So next time we talk, maybe finally we'll find out what's going on with that pig in the corner of the studio. Maybe. Maybe not. Otherwise, I'll talk to you next time on Kim's Collectibles.